Welcome to Artistic Adventures. We're up to episode 4, making Baby Yoda, this cute little thing. And today we're going to start working on the body. Yep. This is going to be harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to tell you because I've already done it. All right. So this is some wire that I bought, and it's specifically for making the structure to go inside the armature. And I'm also going to use this powder brush that I stole from my makeup stand because it's the same size as that aluminum foil thing that sticks down from the head, that sort of handle thing that I made. And that's going to go down into the body. So I want something about that size to make a hole in the body and keep it there while I'm making the clay around it. So we're going to take this armature wire and we're going to sort of loosely measure from arm to arm and allow some extra because we're going to wrap it around that brush. And also, you just want to have a little extra because always measure more. It's easier to cut off than it is to go back and make a whole new arm. So I'm wrapping it around there. I'm going to make sure that I get the wire at the right angle for the shoulder based on where the head is going to go into the body. Okay, so from here, basically what I'm doing is measuring, from the neck down to make sure that I have the shoulders at the right place, the hands at the right place, and that I'm building up the body in the right amount with aluminum foil so that I have room to put clay around it, because the way I've envisioned this, he's going to be sort of bottom heavy and have his chest be a little bit thinner, like a baby is. His babies are a little bit bottom heavy. They don't have like a build up chest. They don't have any muscles really yet, or they're not built up enough, to have a defined chest. You can have a little bit of a definition. And of course, we don't really know what Baby Yoda looks like under that voluminous robe that he wears. So this is kind of just my idea. And who knows? Maybe it's right. Maybe it's wrong. We don't know if he's really a boy or a girl, to tell you the truth. So, that's going to be my imagination at work. And if you make one, you can make it based on your imagination. That's the fun thing about creativity. All right, so I'm just building up the armature here. I'm adding the aluminum foil. I'm not going to add the aluminum foil all the way down to the end of the wire because I'm going to use that to stick the foot on at the end and taper the ankle up into the leg. So right now I think I probably have a little bit more than I need in the wire department, but that's okay. Like I said, we can always cut it. So we're just going to truss him up here with aluminum foil and make sure that we have enough room for, at least a fourth to half of an inch of clay around him. Probably going to be more than that, but maybe in some areas, thinner areas like the arms or something. But he's going to have a cute little bottom, so that part will be a little bit thicker. So I'm just rolling out sheets of this clay on my pasta machine. And if you haven't started at the beginning, this is Super Sculpting that I'm using. I got the bulk pack. And so far, it's okay. I think I said in the last video, it's a little bit crumbly. But other than that, it's doing pretty well. Sorry, I had to turn off for a minute there. My dog started barking. So, as I said, I'm just layering on the clay. I'm conditioning it with my pasta roller, as you can sort of see over there to the right, and adding it to the body and building it up. And once we get it completely covered, we can start adding a little more definition. But right now, I'm just sort of going by my picture to see that I have the right proportions and that I'm building it up in the right places. Adding a little bit more to the back side there. I want him to have a cute little bottom because he's a little baby. Of course, we don't really, like I said, we don't know really what he looks like, but my vision is he's going to be sort of like a little baby, maybe moving into the toddler stage, little chubby legs, cute little arms with, his little 3 fingers and his feet with his little 3 toes. And as far as the upper chest, just, sort of a slight definition of like maybe some pectoral muscles, but not anything really, really defined. Okay, so you can see I'm leaving that wire out. That's trimmed down now to where I think I'll need it. So I'll be adding the hands on and the feet. I'm going to sculpt them separately and then put them on right before I bake it, because there'll be some detail to those. And, with the little fingers, I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to get messed up. Feet too, little toes. So just sort of building up more. I'm kind of giving him a look of having a thigh and a calf with a knee, slight knee, but it's not super, super defined, just a little bit of a bend there in the clay. And I'll put some creases along the knee on the front, and showing sort of a little bit of a definition of a calf in the back on the lower leg. And then attach the feet with a little bit of a bulging ankle look, because he kind of walks slow, so I think his feet are kind of big, because they're for his head. So like I said, this baby's kind of asexual. There's a little bud there that could, develop later in life to something, but we're not going to give him any kind of real genital look or anything other than the little bud. So you can pretend it's whatever you want it to be. And as far as like a navel, we don't know how he was created. Was he born? Did he have an umbilical cord? There's some theories going around that he was cloned. Maybe it's a cloning port. Who knows? I'm going to give him something that's there that could go either way. But who knows? Like I said, we'll wait and see where the series goes and how we think Baby Yoda was created. I like to think he's descended from the original Yoda. I just want to believe that. I don't know why. I guess because we love Yoda. All right, so now I'm building up some things like the elbows, and like I told you on the face, it could start with a blank flat surface, and then where you want to build up things, you can just make a little ball and put it on there, and then you're going to just smooth down the edges, and if you need to add creases or anything, I'll show you how I did that. And this is something that also I think was on one of Carolyn Dowdy's videos. She uses a piece of plastic to keep the creases from looking so just like a cut. You want it to look more rounded on the edges. So instead of just using a tool and pressing it into the clay, if you put the piece of plastic down and then press the tool into the clay, because it's going through the plastic, it gives it a little bit more of a rounded look. You can use this technique on anything. And she was using it on her little silicone dolls, but you can use it on anything you're creating where you want it to look a little bit more rounded. So I'm going to give him some creases on his elbow, and I'll probably do the same on the knee. And as you can see, I'm just using a tool that has kind of a flat edge on one side, and making those little marks that look like creases. And hopefully these will survive the rest of the process of sculpting him. And that's the problem sometimes when you do these type of details early. And I'm sort of learning as I go on this project. But for instance, I did a navel at one point and kind of had it how I wanted it. Then I started working on his little bottom, and without even thinking, I had just completely smushed the navel flat, as you can see there. I just took it off. So, some of the things you want to think about if you're adding it to the front or the back. What more do you have to do on the project? And if you're going to have to do a lot of detail on an area, whatever's on the other side of that is probably going to get flattened. It's really, even if you're holding it in your hand, like I was to do his bottom, the navel was smooshed by the palm of my hand. So there I'm doing, I think, sorry that's off camera, but I'm just doing some creases on his knees, just like I did on the elbows. All right, so there was the navel. It's going to get changed a few times. And you can see I've sort of sculpted a little bit of a chest definition there. Um, Not a lot. He doesn't have a lot of muscle. He's still a baby, even though he's 50 years old. And you could just sort of, crease if you wanted to give him like rib looking things or whatever. I'm kind of making him mostly smooth. You don't have to worry about this being exactly smooth because I am going to do some sanding on him after I bake him. I'm going to add these lumps here for his bottom. I want to start building that up because right now it's pretty flat. It just kind of comes down and tapers down to his legs. So I'm going to just put these two balls here and start pressing the clay down on the sides to mold them into the rest of the clay. And I even went back later after I finished this part of it and added some more. And I think that's kind of good, You go back after you've let it sit for a night and take a look at it, and then you're kind of like, And also, I asked a friend who is also a viewer, and she said he needs more bottom, so I added more bottom. So all of my molding is not completely shown on here, but you do get to see them before I do the silicone, so you can see exactly how it looks. So that's after adding some bottom, and I did go back and add some more because that was just a little bit too pointy and not spread out enough and not high enough. Sometimes when you're working on it, you can't really tell that. You think, oh, I'll put a bottom on him. He's got a bottom. But later, if you look at him, and they look at him from different angles, look at him from the side. There's my redone navel, which could be a cloning port. And it's not very low. And there's the bottom after I added more. And I also kind of put a little indentation like the spine. So, you could add little small details, maybe a little bit of an indentation for the shoulder blades, things like that. However you want him to look. Like I said, I want him to look mostly like a little baby, but with, the changes that are apparent, like that he has 3 toes and 3 fingers and things like that. And of course, he's asexual. He's just got a bud. All right, so there's his little cute bottom and his little chubby legs. And we've got his arms done. And now, just to keep him from getting flattened anywhere, I have this stand where I can stick this down on the hole in his body where I had the brush. And I need to think about putting the head on the body. Now, a lot of that process got cut off because I broke the head off so many times. I think I told you in episode 2, I dropped him. Yeah. So I had baked the body and put the head on and dropped him, broke the head off, put the head back on, tried to glue it, head fell off again. So some of this is not showing everything, but I'm showing you the essential parts, especially the parts that work, so you don't have to make mistakes that I did. But anyway, what we're working on now is just getting this body ready to bake. And the first thing I want to do here is add a little bit of a ring around that hole for the head to sit on, and that'll end up being his neck. Or most of it will. Some of it got broken off when I dropped him. But it all ended up being good. And I'll show you how I fixed it after I dropped it. So I'm just putting a little ring up there, and you also want to make sure that you don't get it too closed off so that aluminum foil handle thing won't fit down in the hole. So as you're doing this, you want to, try sticking the head on the body to see how it looks. Is the neck tall enough? Is it wide enough? Because you want it to be realistic. Would a body that size be able to support a head that size on a little teeny tiny neck that looks like a pencil? No. So even after this, I added more to the neck to give it a little bit more width. You just want it to look realistic. I mean, even though it's an alien, it's not, a humanoid type body. It's still, the laws of physics that gravity can take charge. And boy, did it ever take charge a lot for this project, because that head was just falling off like crazy because it's so heavy. So tweaking some things here, smoothing out, add, if I see a little dip, I'll just add a blob of clay, so I make sure that the body looks pretty much symmetrical. And now we're going to work on the feet a little bit. So I made these little shapes. It's kind of wider at one end and then comes back in towards a rounded heel. And I'm making sure that they're pretty much the same size because we want them to be pretty much equal in size. And then I'm going to make the toes separately because the toes are kind of long and they have toenails. And that's the only thing I was kind of worried about when I'm molding this is, if I have these toenails that stick out, I hope I'll be able to get them out of the mold. But hey, it's an adventure, right? So we'll see what happens. But right now, basically what I'm doing is there's not a lot of pictures of his feet, but I did go back and look at some of the episodes, and I found one picture of his feet, and it's basically a long toe, one long toe in the middle, and then two smaller toes on either side. On the bottom of the foot here, I'm sculpting a little bit of an indentation to give it the look of a heel, and the pad of the foot on the bottom. That's the bottom I'm working on right there. So you can put some little indentions in there if you wanted to. I did end up cutting a little bit of that off because I thought the foot was going to end up being way too long with the toes, because the toes are going to be fairly long. And this was another thing that broke off really frequently. This clay breaks very easily. You have to really be careful with it when you're working with it, because even like you're not dropping it, you could hit a toe against the table as you're turning it to work on some other part, and the toe will just fall off, which happened to me more than once. So just putting these protrusions on there. Go back and put some detail on after we get them smoothed out at the base. I just want them to look like they come, out of the foot smoothly. And then I'll sort of shape them like toes and fingers, with joints. Obviously, to be able to walk, they're going to have to be able to bend. So right there, I'm just putting some indentation in the bottom. This is the bottom to give it the look of crease where, if it curved under, it would have a crease in it. I'm just putting a couple of those in, one at the bottom of the foot and then one closer to the top. Who knows how many creases there are. But I think it looks somewhat believable, And I'm just using the edge of that rounded tool, which is really good for stuff like this. And then when I turn it over, I'll just put a few little smaller creases across where the knuckles, I guess, would be. Now, I'm putting an indentation there with that tool. That's just the nail bed. I'm going to end up making the nail, the talons, because he has kind of long nails on the feet. And those will be put on top of the nail beds that I made just there. The thing you want to make sure of, though, is that you get them securely attached, or they'll fall off when you're baking them if you don't make sure you get them attached. And I'm just taking like a ball and rolling it out, pointy on one end and leaving the other end rounded, and then pressing it down into the nail bed. And as you can see, the middle toe is just a little bit longer. And I want to put something on top of the foot for the ankle so that I can mold it into the wire. And that'll be the next step. So that's what his foot's going to look like. That's the top. And then the bottom is got the little heel and indentation for the arch, as you can see there. And we'll do the other toe exactly the same way. I think they look pretty good. I mean, it's obviously not going to be exactly the same, but And that's going to be what his ankle looks like. I'm just going to put that on top of the foot and then stick that on the wire right there like that. Now I lost some footage and did have some breakage, as I said, that I had to fix. And I'm going to show you that in another video. I don't want to get into that in this one. This is the finished product. I did sand it down with that orange coarse and then followed up with this superfine 3M sponge sandpaper. So what you're seeing right here is the finished body. I wanted you to see the body, and I lost the video of the body that I had on another chip. So now the thing is to put the body back on the head. This is kind of out of sequence, but I wanted to show you this part because it kind of goes along with the whole, putting the body together. And then I will do a whole video on how I repaired him after I broke him. That was fun. So this product I'm using is called JB Weld, and had to resort to this after several other attempts to do things failed. It's a 2-part, really, really fast, really tough epoxy. If you have tried things and they don't work, you can resort to this. My husband let me know about this product when I was making some floating teacups where you attach a spoon to the saucer and then the cup above it so that it looks like the cup's pouring into the saucer from the middle of the air. And everything I tried, it wouldn't hold. So I tried this product and it worked. It held it. So I'm just slathering it on the aluminum foil enough that I think it's going to, reach the insides. And then I'm going to put some around the neck. I really don't want this squeezing out too much, if any. And that's how I pretty much ended up. So in the repair video, I'm going to show you how all of this worked. But I'm twisting it a little bit just to make sure I've got it seated in there well and pushed down as far as I can push it. And like I said, this cures pretty fast. So don't ever let go of the head. Don't ever let go of the head. Because when you do, you also are going to break off a toe. Right? Yep. And you're going to get the epoxy all over everything and have to glue toes back on and all kinds of things. So, yep, see? Broke the toe off just by moving it around. All right, so that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed this process. It's a long process, but it's very interesting and I'm enjoying it. So if you haven't already, I hope you'll subscribe because we have lots more coming up on this project and I don't want you to miss a thing. Thanks. Bye.